Thank you so much for making time for us. We really wanted to have an opportunity to speak to you about deep fakes and AI. And when we spoke to Angus earlier with the DAIS report, it showed that younger people are experiencing more online harms than older people. I just wanted to go around the table really quickly and get a sense of what it is. Have you ever seen anything online that just kind of maybe impacted you in a way that wasn't positive? Jillian, I'll start with you.
I think that social media and generative AI, deepfakes, and all of these different kinds of things that we're seeing come about, and specifically on social media, I think that you can pick up the wrong information, you can see the wrong kind of video, whether it's used by AI or not, and it can become harmful and it can spread misinformation, disinformation, and it creates a little bit of chaos of who knows what and who can you trust online.
Angus, I saw you nodding.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the scary part of it is sometimes AI generated images can be very realistic and you cannot see if it is actually fake or is it actually real. And so this distortion of the truth through these AI generated images, especially for me coming from a poli-sci background, it can hinder on like elections, democracy, and how people get their sources, because we in a society, we are privileged to live in a democracy where people get to make informed decisions on the ballot boxes. And so when people are trying to access the sources and they see something that is fake but is supported by very realistic deep fakes or AI generated images, it is very scary in that sense. And so that's kind of where my fear or my fear kind of stems from. So
we're going to come back to democracy in a little bit, but Sadia, I also saw you nodding.
I think my concern comes into like deepfake pornography, especially when it's geared towards children and how kind of widespread it can go. And especially, I think now there's like digital tools that make it way more easier.
You made a really good point about, using like younger children in these deep fakes. Yeah. Do you think that when we talk about AI, we really understand the negative impacts that it can have on vulnerable communities?
No, of course. I think it can impact celebrities kind of a lot, but also kind of the average person, because these softwares only need, I think, like 2 or 3 photos of a person, and it can do like a face swap, and then it can kind of impact that person and it can become widespread. So I think there was a lot of talk about, I don't know if the rest of you have heard, but like the nth rooms, but these kind of become chat rooms and they kind of go viral between these. So
can you explain? Can you tell me more about that?
So this, I think, was a viral case in South Korea, if I'm correct. They're called nth rooms. I think the first ones were legit photos, so real photos. The second and the next kind of different nth rooms that came out were nth rooms that had digital images. So people would kind of make sexual content of people they know just from like 2 or 3 photos, maybe a classroom photo, maybe a photo they snapped like as they were like going past them in the halls. But basically you didn't need
very much
an array of photos like you would need for a celebrity. You just need 2 or 3 face swap, and then a lot of people can get devastated from that. So
were they just doing it just as an exercise or for fun or to get back at people? Or
I think you kind of had a point there that it was like revenge pornography. So do you want to build on that? Or
Sure. I mean, there are certain cases where I've read that many people are victims of people using AI generated images to create pornography and use that for blackmail purposes. Like, if you do not do this, your images would be posted. And that fear creates a victimization of certain individuals, and that can speak to another fear factor in using AI generated images.
I mean, that's terrifying. Like when you're in those kind of vulnerable situations, and if someone was to put a doctored picture of you, no one wants that, right, Roger?
Yeah. One thing I can speak on is the face swap. Right now, I've played around with some of the face swap tools before, and it's pretty readily available for everybody. And it is very easy to use. However, for the face swap, it's it also is a lot easier to distinguish if it's fake or not, because the face swap has a discontinuity from the neck down. So you won't, so depending on the lighting and the expression of the person's face and the body language, sometimes it just doesn't look right, and you can kind of point out that it's face swapped. However, AI generated videos that are purely 100% generated, those are going to become more and more realistic. As of right now, pictures can be very, very realistic and nearing 100% realism. However, videos still have a long way to go. Not a long time, but I think in a few years from now, we'll start to see seamless AI generated videos, and that's when there can be some implications, especially like pornographic and sexual exploitation. Those kind of topics should be regulated.